I remember checking my phone that morning. 30 messages from friends, but nothing from my parents. Not unusual. They'd always been, let's call it, emotionally reserved. But it was my 30th birthday, and I'd invited them to the small celebration I was hosting that evening. I'd spent days preparing, cleaning my apartment until it sparkled, cooking all their favorite dishes. My dad's beloved lasagna with the recipe passed down from his mother, my mom's favorite chocolate cake with the ganache she always raved about. I wanted everything to be perfect. You see, we'd been distant for years. My decision to pursue art instead of law school created this chasm between us. But I thought maybe, just maybe, showing them I had built a good life, a life with meaning, would bridge that gap. I still remember standing in my kitchen at 6:55 p.m., watching the door. My friends were already there, making small talk, sipping wine, but my eyes kept drifting to the entrance. 7:30 came, then 8, nothing. I called, straight to voicemail. I texted, "Are you still coming?" 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. Then this message: "We cannot support the choices you continue to make. It's best we stop pretending. Don't contact us again." On my birthday, after I'd spent all day cooking their favorite foods, they disowned me in a text message. Before I start, if my journey resonates with you in any way, please consider subscribing and hitting that like button. Also, tell us where you're watching from and what time it is right now. The next few months were, I don't even know how to describe them. It was like drowning on dry land. I'd built this identity as the family peacekeeper, the one who would eventually make them proud. Even when we disagreed, I held on to this belief that deep down, they loved me, that they valued me. That text message shattered everything. I stopped painting. My freelance clients noticed the decline in my work quality. I lost 3 major contracts in 2 months. My savings dwindled. Every night I'd stare at that text message, trying to decode it, trying to understand what I'd done that was so unforgivable. My friend Maya was the only one who saw how bad it was getting. She'd come over with groceries, force me to eat something, open the curtains I'd kept shut for days. She kept saying, "This isn't about you, this is about them." But when you're raised by people who condition their love on your compliance, you believe every rejection is your fault. By month 4, I'd lost my apartment. Couldn't make rent. I moved to Maya's couch, my art supplies in storage, my clothes in garbage bags. I was 30 years old with nothing but a broken heart and the shame of failure. The worst day came when I saw them at my cousin Andrea's wedding. I wasn't gonna go, but Andrea had always been kind to me. She insisted. I walked into that reception hall feeling like a ghost. People who'd known me my whole life avoided eye contact. My mother saw me from across the room and physically turned her back. After the ceremony, I went to the bathroom and had the most intense panic attack of my life. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. I just kept gasping for air, my body pressed against the cold tile wall. That's when I heard them, my mother and my aunt, just outside the stall. "I don't know why Andrea invited her," my mother said. "After everything we've done for her, the ingratitude is astounding." My aunt's voice was lower. "Maybe if you told her the truth about—" "Never," my mother interrupted. "Some secrets need to stay buried. Robert and I made that decision 30 years ago, and we're sticking to it." I froze. What truth? What decision? What had they been hiding for 30 years? My entire life. I stayed in that bathroom long after they left, piecing together fragments of memories, inconsistencies in family stories, strange reactions to innocent questions about our family history. That night, I didn't sleep. Instead, I opened my laptop and ordered a DNA test. 3 weeks later, the results arrived in my inbox. I stared at that email notification for hours before opening it. When I finally did, my entire world tilted on its axis. According to this test, I was only genetically related to my father, not my mother, and I had genetic markers for a medical condition that didn't run in either of their families. I spent the next week in a research frenzy: medical records, birth certificates, old family photos I'd salvaged before losing my apartment. Then I found it. A small news clipping in my grandmother's old scrapbook. A hospital error. Babies accidentally switched. A settlement with a non-disclosure agreement, dated exactly 1 month after my birth. My parents hadn't given birth to me. They'd lost their biological child and received me instead. And they'd never told me. All those years of feeling like I didn't belong, of trying to mold myself into someone who fit their expectations, it made a terrible kind of sense now. I requested a meeting, formal, at a neutral location, a private room at a local restaurant. I told them I had important documents they needed to see regarding my health. They came, reluctantly, suspiciously. My father looked older somehow, shoulders curved inward. My mother's lips were pressed into that thin line I knew so well. "Thank you for coming," I said, my voice steadier than I expected. I placed the DNA results on the table, the birth certificate, the news clipping. "I know," I said simply. "I know I'm not biologically your daughter. I know about the hospital switch." The color drained from both their faces. My mother reached for her water glass, but her hand was shaking too badly to lift it. "How dare you dig into private family matters," she finally whispered. That's when something broke inside me. Or maybe it finally healed. Private family matters? I am your family, or at least I was supposed to be. You raised me for 30 years while keeping the truth from me. You denied me knowledge of my medical history, my genetic background. Then you disowned me because I didn't become who you wanted me to be. My father wouldn't meet my eyes. We did what we thought was best. Best for whom? I asked. Not for me. Never for me. I stood up then. I'm not here for an apology. I'm here because you deserve to know that your secret is out, and I deserve to live my life without the weight of your expectations and your lies. My mother started to speak, but I held up my hand. The daughter you wanted died 30 years ago in that hospital mix-up. I'm sorry for your loss, truly. But I'm not sorry for who I am, and I'm done apologizing for not being her. I walked out of that restaurant feeling like I could breathe fully for the first time in my life. The days after the confrontation were strange, lighter, somehow, even though nothing in my material circumstances had changed. I was still staying with Maya, still jobless, still broken in many ways. But the truth had set something free inside me. I started painting again, not carefully controlled pieces I thought would sell, but raw emotional work that poured out of me like a fever. One night, Maya brought home a flyer for a small art showcase happening at a local cafe. She insisted I submit something. I laughed it off at first, but then I looked at the canvas I'd been working on, a piece about identity and belonging and the spaces between blood and choice. 3 weeks later, my work was hanging on that cafe wall. I stood in the corner during the showcase, watching people stop in front of my painting, watching them lean in closer, watching some of them wipe away tears. An older woman approached me. "Are you the artist?" I nodded, expecting the usual pleasantries. Instead, she said, "I run a small gallery downtown. We have an opening in our fall exhibition. Your perspective on family trauma is exactly what the collection needs." That single conversation changed everything. The gallery exhibition led to sales. Small ones at first, then enough to rent a tiny studio apartment. I started teaching art therapy workshops for people processing grief and trauma. 6 months after the confrontation, I received a letter. No return address, but I recognized my father's handwriting immediately. Inside was a check for $30,000 and a short note. "Your grandmother left this for you. It's yours regardless of biology. I'm sorry it took me so long to understand that you are, too." I sat on my floor and cried for hours. Not because of the money, though it would help tremendously, but because somewhere in my father's heart, he'd chosen me after all. I used that money to start a scholarship fund for art students from non-traditional family backgrounds. It felt right to transform that inheritance into something that acknowledged both where I came from and who I chose to become. It's been a year since that confrontation. My art career is growing steadily. The DNA test eventually connected me with my biological family, a whole other story for another day. That relationship is complex, beautiful in its own way, but it's taught me that family is as much about choice as it is about blood. My parents and I, we're not reconciled. I don't know if we ever will be. My mother still hasn't reached out. My father sends the occasional text, surface level, careful. I answer when I feel strong enough. But here's what I've learned. Sometimes family secrets don't just hurt because they're kept. They hurt because they prevent authentic connection. You can't truly love someone you don't truly know. And you can't truly know someone if they're not allowed to be themselves. If you're watching this and feeling like you don't belong in your own life, like you're a stranger in your own family, please hear me. You are not alone. The family you were born into may not be the family that helps you thrive. And that's okay. Build your life around people who see you, really see you, and love you anyway. Create your art. Tell your truth. The path forward isn't always reconciliation. Sometimes it's revelation. Sometimes it's revolution. So that's my story. From birthday betrayal to rebuilding my life on my own terms, it's still being written, as all our stories are. If this resonated with you, please subscribe and share with someone who might need to hear that family secrets don't define them. Every like, every share helps this message reach people who are where I was a year ago, alone, confused, blaming themselves for a story they didn't write. Thank you for listening, for witnessing. Sometimes being seen is the greatest gift we can receive. Until next time, remember, the truth might hurt, but living a lie hurts longer.